Every 4 years, billions of people around the world sit down, hold their breath, and watch the greatest sporting event on the planet, the FIFA World Cup. And every single time, without fail, there are teams that show up to that stage looking like they belong, talking like they believe, training like champions, and then getting absolutely destroyed in front of a global audience of hundreds of millions. FIFA 2026 is going to be the biggest World Cup in history. 48 teams, 12 groups, 104 games spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And let me tell you something right now. Not all 48 of those teams deserve to be there. Some of these nations have no business stepping onto that pitch against the elites of world football, and today we are going to call them out. We are going to break down the 5 teams that have absolutely zero, and I mean zero, chance of lifting that golden trophy in July 2026. This is not hate. This is not disrespect. This is cold, hard, brutal football reality. So if you are a fan of any of these teams, I am warning you right now. This is going to hurt. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, we cover everything FIFA 2026. From predictions and analysis to the stories nobody else is telling. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because during this tournament, we are posting every single day and you do not want to miss a second of what is coming. Now, before we jump into the list, let me explain how we put this together. We looked at FIFA World Rankings, Opta Power Ratings, squad depth, group stage opponents, recent international form, and the cold reality of what it takes to win a World Cup in the modern era. Winning the World Cup is not about heart. It is not about passion. It is about having elite players across every position, a system that works under pressure, and enough depth to survive injuries and suspensions across 7 matches. Most teams have 1 or 2 of those things. The teams on today's list have none of them. All right, let's start the countdown. Ghana walks into FIFA 2026 ranked 74th in the world according to FIFA, and the moment you hear that number, you already know where this is going. The Black Stars are a team with a proud and painful World Cup history. Who could forget 2010 when they came agonizingly close to being the first African nation to reach a World Cup semi-final, only for Luis Suarez to handle the ball on the goal line and Asamoah Gyan to miss the resulting penalty. That moment broke hearts across an entire continent. But that was 2010, and this is 2026. And the Ghana that shows up to North America this summer is nowhere near the team that traumatized the world 16 years ago. The golden generation is gone. The Ayew brothers are aging. The squad that Carlos Queiroz has assembled lacks the quality and the consistency to compete at the highest level. And the group draw has made things even worse. Ghana has been placed in Group L alongside England, Croatia, and Panama, and that draw is as brutal as it sounds. England, ranked 4th in the world, are coming into this tournament as legitimate dark horses with a squad full of Premier League quality. Croatia, ranked 10th, are the same battle-hardened, tactically disciplined side that reached the final in 2018 and the semi-finals in 2022. These are not just good teams. These are teams built on experience, pressure, and winning the hardest games. Ghana's recent international performances have not inspired confidence either. The Black Stars have struggled in friendlies, and their qualifying campaign, while technically successful, came against opposition that was far below the level they will face in America. Carlos Queiroz is an experienced manager with a great resume, but even the best coach in the world cannot manufacture world-class talent from a squad that is ranked 74th on the planet. Ghana will fight, they always fight, and they may even get a result against Panama. But winning the World Cup, reaching even the quarterfinals, that is a fantasy, and everyone who understands football knows it. Let us be honest with each other for a second. New Zealand qualifying for the FIFA World Cup 2026 is a wonderful story. It is the kind of underdog tale that makes football beautiful and proves that the expansion to 48 teams is giving smaller footballing nations a chance they would never have had before. But wonderful stories do not win World Cups, and New Zealand's presence in this tournament is proof of that exact point. The All Whites, as they are affectionately known, come into this tournament ranked 43rd in the world, according to Newsweek's comprehensive rankings of all 48 participating nations, meaning there are 42 other teams at this World Cup who are better than them. Their squad is built almost entirely around players competing in the Australian A-League and the lower tiers of European football, which tells you everything you need to know about the talent level they are working with. They do not have a superstar. They do not have a player that Premier League clubs are fighting over or that Champions League teams are building their attack around. They are a well-organized, hard-working, disciplined team that plays good football for their level. But their level is not the FIFA World Cup. New Zealand has been drawn into Group G alongside Belgium, Egypt, and Iran. Now, Belgium are past their golden generation. That is true. Eden Hazard is long gone and Kevin De Bruyne is no longer the player he was at his peak. But Belgium still have the quality, the structure, and the experience to handle a team like New Zealand comfortably. Egypt and Iran also both carry more individual quality than anything New Zealand can put on the pitch. The reality is that New Zealand's best realistic hope in this tournament is to avoid being on the wrong end of a 6-goal hammering and to maybe, just maybe, salvage a draw against one of the weaker sides in their group. That is not a criticism of their effort or their heart. It is simply the mathematics of elite international football. The gap between a team like New Zealand and a team like France or Spain is not just large, it is generational. And no amount of tactical discipline can close that gap when the ball is at the feet of players who do not have the technical quality to compete at this level. Haiti's story heading into FIFA 2026 is genuinely one of the most remarkable in the history of the World Cup. And before we talk about why they cannot win this tournament, it is important to acknowledge what they have achieved just by being here. Haiti last appeared at the World Cup in 1974, over 50 years ago. And for a nation that has been absolutely devastated by natural disasters, political instability, and a level of suffering that most of the world cannot comprehend, simply qualifying for this tournament is an act of extraordinary courage and determination. Managed by Sébastien Mignet, the Haitian squad had to play all of their home qualifying games in Curaçao because the situation back home made it impossible to host matches safely. Mignet himself has reportedly still not been able to visit Haiti and had to rely on local Football Federation officials to gather information about potential players. Think about that for a moment. The national team manager has never set foot in the country he is managing, and yet they still qualified for the World Cup. That is not just football. That is a story about human resilience that transcends sport. But FIFA 2026 is going to be a brutal awakening. Haiti has been drawn into Group C alongside Brazil, Morocco, and Scotland. Brazil, Morocco, the team that reached the semi-finals of the 2022 World Cup and proved to the entire world that African football had arrived at the very top table. Scotland, a team packed with players who compete every week in the Premier League and the Champions League. Haiti are ranked among the bottom 2 or 3 teams in this entire tournament, and their squad, while talented enough to qualify through the CONCACAF region, simply does not have the depth, the experience, or the individual quality to compete with nations that have been preparing for decades for exactly this kind of stage. France Di Pierrot and Dukans Nazon lead the attacking line, and they are capable players. But capable is not enough when you are walking out onto the pitch against a Brazil squad that is motivated, hungry, and playing with something to prove under Carlo Ancelotti. Haiti will create moments. They will have fans around the world rooting for them because you cannot watch their story and not feel something. But 3 group stage games is likely where their World Cup ends, and honestly, given everything they have overcome just to get here, that should still be celebrated as one of the great achievements in the tournament's history. Iraq at the FIFA World Cup 2026 is a fascinating case study in how the expansion to 48 teams changes the tournament's dynamics in ways that are not always flattering to the competition. Iraq qualified through the AFC, representing Asia alongside heavyweights like Japan, South Korea, and Australia. But let us be very clear. Iraq is not in the same conversation as those teams when it comes to World Cup contention. Ranked 46th across all tournament participants, according to multiple analysts and power rating systems, Iraq comes into this tournament with a squad that plays the majority of their football in the Iraqi Premier League, a competition that, despite having its own passionate following, does not prepare players for the ferocious pace, physicality, and technical intensity of a FIFA World Cup at the highest level. Iraq has been drawn into what many analysts are calling one of the genuinely difficult groups at this tournament, Group 1 alongside France, Senegal, and Norway. Let that sink in. France, the reigning 2018 world champions, a squad dripping with Champions League talent from Kylian Mbappé to Antoine Griezmann, to an entire generation of elite players. Senegal, the African champions, a team with Sadio Mané's experience and a squad full of players who ply their trade at the highest level in Europe. Norway, the team of Erling Haaland, the most lethal striker on the planet right now, a man who scored over 50 goals in a single Premier League season and who arrives at his first World Cup with the hunger of someone who was born to play on exactly this stage. Iraq drew with Spain in a pre-tournament friendly, which generated some excitement and gave their fans a reason to dream. But one result against a rotation squad in a meaningless friendly should not be confused with the ability to compete across 3 high-stakes group stage matches. Iraq will be physically and technically outmatched in every single game they play in Group 1, and while they deserve immense respect for qualifying and for representing their nation on the global stage, the gap between where they are and where you need to be to win a World Cup is simply too vast to overcome. There was never really any doubt about who was going to sit at the top of this list. Curaçao, an island of around 160,000 people, making them officially the smallest nation ever to qualify for a FIFA World Cup in history. Let that number sink in. 160,000 people. For context, that is smaller than most mid-sized cities. The city of Salford in England has more people than the entire nation of Curaçao. And yet, here they are, standing on the grandest stage in global sport, about to represent their tiny Caribbean island in front of hundreds of millions of viewers around the world. The story of how they got here is extraordinary. They went through 2 rounds of CONCACAF qualifying unbeaten, defeating Jamaica and drawing with Trinidad and Tobago in a group that also included Haiti. Their manager, the legendary Dick Advocaat, a man who has managed PSV Eindhoven, Rangers, Sunderland, and the Dutch national team, resigned in February 2026 due to health problems before returning to the role in May when conditions improved. Even in the chaos of a managerial crisis, Curaçao kept their qualification. That is the spirit of this team. But spirit only takes you so far when you are ranked 131st in the world on the Opta Power rankings, the lowest of any team at this tournament. And you have been drawn into Group E alongside Germany, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. Germany, a team that, even in a transitional era under Julian Nagelsmann, still carries the weight of 4 World Cup titles, a squad of disciplined, technically excellent players, and a football culture built on winning the hardest games in the most pressurized moments. Ivory Coast, a team packed with players who compete in the Premier League and the top leagues of Europe. Ecuador, a side that has been growing in quality for years and arrive at this tournament with genuine belief in their ability to progress. Curaçao's best players include the Bacuna brothers, Leandro and Juninho, who play in solid European leagues and are respectable footballers at their level. But their level is not Group E at the FIFA World Cup 2026. The Opta Power rating gap between Germany and Curaçao is 40.1 points, the largest gap between any 2 teams in the same group at this entire tournament. To put that in perspective, that gap is larger than the gap between some international teams and teams from completely different continents. Curaçao are going to face Germany on June 14th, and that game is going to be a painful lesson in the realities of elite international football. They will face Ecuador on June 21st and Ivory Coast on June 25th, and the likelihood is that they will leave this tournament without a single point and with a goal difference that makes for uncomfortable reading. But here is the thing, and this is the part that I need you to really hear before you close this video. Every single team we have talked about today deserves to be celebrated, not embarrassed. Because the World Cup is not just about who wins the trophy. It is about the stories. It is about the Haitian manager who has never visited his own country. It is about Curaçao, a tiny island of 160,000 people, standing on the same pitch as Germany. It is about New Zealand's players, who play in front of small crowds in the A-League week after week, suddenly performing in front of 1 billion viewers. It is about Ghana carrying the dreams of an entire continent that has never produced a World Cup winner. These stories matter. These moments matter. The World Cup is beautiful precisely because it includes teams like these alongside France, Spain, Brazil, and Argentina. The gap in quality is real, and we have laid it all out today with the stats and the facts to back it up. But football has a way of making fools out of the people who think they know everything. And if any of these 5 teams pulls off a result that nobody saw coming, I promise you, we will be here to cover every single second of it. That is what this channel is built for. FIFA 2026 is here, and we are going to be your home for every shock, every story, every goal, and every moment that matters. If you enjoyed this video, drop a comment below. Which team do you think will cause the biggest upset at FIFA 2026? Subscribe if you have not already, hit the like button, and share this with someone who thinks their team is going to win the whole thing. We post every day during the tournament. Do not miss it.